Hi guys, welcome back to my channel where I post history content videos, not every day, but maybe once a week. As you guys may have known, today it's Bank Holiday Monday, so happy May the 6th, obviously known as Bank Holiday Monday. I don't have school today, so I feel like I should post today since I don't have any school, and I don't really post on weekdays, but I will do it because it's only a bank holiday. So today, this is part 8 of the series of my top 20 favorite British monarchs. So I'm gonna just read you guys the title, but I'm gonna show you who we're doing. Okay, my top 20 favorite British monarchs. Part 8, Edward IV, King of England. So Edward IV is now part 8. He is the next King of England. He came after Henry VI, who was murdered in the Tower of London in 1471. He reigned for 21 years, Edward IV did. So technically I had my own research on Edward IV, and he became king when he was 18, but he died at 40. So the problem is he reigned for almost 22 years. He got the throne when he was 18 in 1461, and he died in 1483 when he was 40. But the mysterious death of him is actually unknown because he could have died of an unknown illness or was murdered or natural causes. I'm guessing he died of a unknown illness, and also he is the next king in the house of Plantagenet. There are also two houses during his reign. There's the House of York and the House of Lancaster. Technically, he became king during the Wars of the Roses this time. This is really weird because he is in the house of Plantagenet. I do not know how to pronounce the name, I'm really sorry. But in my last video, I talked about the House of Hanover, which we talked about the members who were in the House of Hanover. There were 6 British monarchs who belonged in the House of Hanover, which were George I all the way to Queen Victoria of Great Britain. And they are called the Hanoverians instead. So I had to find my own research on Edward IV. So let's get started. Edward IV was born on the 28th of April, 1442, and died on the 9th of April, 1483. He was King of England from the 4th of March, 1461 to the 3rd of October, 1470, then again from the 11th of April, 1471 until his death in 1483. He was a central figure in the Wars of the Roses, a series of civil wars in England fought between the Yorkist and Lancastrian frictions between 1455 and 1487. And that's when Henry Tudor, aka Henry VII, became king, but 2 years before. So this is Edward IV. This was the posthumous portrait. It was painted around 1540. His first reign as King of England. His first reign was on the 4th of March, 1461, until the 3rd of October, 1470. He was thrown off the throne for 6 months, and then his second reign was on the 11th of April, 1471, until the 9th of April, 1483. Now, technically, only 2 British monarch kings who only had 2 reigns. They were Henry VI and Edward IV. They both had 2 reigns. His coronation was on the 28th of June, 1461. The last king was Henry VI, and his successor was his son, Edward V, who's the 12-year-old. He was born on the 28th of April, 1442, in Normandy in France. He was born in France, by the way. He died on the 9th of April, 1483, at the age of 40 in Westminster. He was buried on the 18th of April, 1483, in St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. Oh, so he was buried 9 days after his death. He married Elizabeth Woodville in 1464. Her children were Elizabeth, Queen of England, Silly Vanticus Wells, Edward V of England, Richard, Duke of York, Anne, Lady Howard, Catherine, Duchess of Devon, Bridget of York, and Arthur Viscount Elso, and he is the illegitimate son. His house is York. Yeah, there are two houses then, the House of York and the House of Lancaster. His father was Richard of York, the third Duke of York, and his mother was Cicely Neville. What? Edward inherited the Yorkist claim to the throne at the age of 18 when his father, Richard, Duke of York, was killed at the Battle of Wakefield in December 1460. After defeating Lancastrian armies at Mortimer's Cross and Towton in early 1461, he deposed King Henry VI and took the throne. His marriage to Elizabeth Woodville in 1464 led to conflict with his chief advisor, Richard Neville, Earl of Warwick, known as the Kingmaker. In 1470, a revolt led by Warwick and Edward's brother, George, Duke of Clarence, reinstalled Henry VI. Edward fled to Flanders, where he gathered support and invaded England in March 1471. After victories at the Battle of Brant and Tewkesbury, where both Warwick and Edward of Westminster, Prince of Wales, were killed. Oh, there was a Prince of Wales. He resumed the throne. Shortly afterwards, Henry VI was found dead in the Tower of London, possibly killed on Edward's orders. Despite facing an overseas threat from Henry Tudor, the last remaining Lancastrian claimant, Edward reigned in relative peace for the next 12 years. Edward nearly restarted the 100 Years' War following his invasion of France in 1475, but he was assumed by Louis XI in the Treaty of Pinquarny. How do you pronounce that? Treaty of Pinquarny. This treaty formally ended the 100 Years' War, which had been effectively over since 1453. And by the way, guys, quick note, the 100 Years' War started when Edward III was King of England back in 1338, I think. I think it was in 1338 or 1348, I don't remember. Following his sudden death in April 1483, Edward was succeeded by his son, Edward V. His younger brother, Richard, was appointed Lord Protector of England due to the new king's morality, but he quickly seized the throne as Richard III. Stupid Richard, man. Minority. Let's look at his early life. So, this is his early life. This is a drawing of Richard of York, the third Duke of York, the father of Edward IV and Richard III. It was painted around in 1445. Edward grew up amidst a background of economic decline at home and military defeat abroad, exacerbated by a weak and corrupt central government. Both he and his younger brother, Edmund Earl of Rutland, were born in Roven, where their father, the Duke of York, served as governor of English lands in France until 1445, when he was replaced by Henry Beaufort, the third Duke of Somerset. Edward and Edmund were probably brought up at Lintelow Castle in the Welsh Marches, where the Duke of York was the dominant landowner. In 1447, the Duke of York was made Chief Governor of Ireland, although he did not take up the post until 1449. Shortly thereafter, a French offensive recaptured Normandy, leaving Claudius as the last English position in northern France. Despite responsibly for this defeat, Somerset was appointed King Henry's chief minister. English politics became dominated by the struggle between the Yorkists and supporters of the House of Lancaster, or Lancastrian nobility. The Duke of Somerset, William de la Pole, the first Duke of Suffolk, and King Henry VI's wife, Margaret of Anjou, the French queen. What the hell? Matters came to a head in August 1453 when King Henry VI collapsed into a catatonic stupor on hearing news of the loss of Gascony, an English possession for over 300 years. The Duke of York took over the government, his chief supporters being Richard Neville, the 5th Earl of Salisbury, and his eldest son, Richard Neville, the 16th Earl of Warwick. In January 1454, the 12-year-old Edward rode beside his father when he entered London to attend the Great Council. He was 12? Oh, he was like 12 at the time. That's crazy. However, the birth of King Henry VI's son, Edward of Westminster, Prince of Wales, in October 1453, created a viable Lancastrian figurehead, and the 1450s was dominated by a political conflict between the two factions. By the age of 17, the Earl of March was a political and military leader, but in his own right, after their defeat at the Battle of Lodford Bridge in 1459. His father and brother Edmund fled to Ireland, while the Earls of March, Salisbury, and Warwick made their way to Calais. Edward's name appeared alongside those of his father, Warwick and Salisbury, in widely correlated manifestos, declaring their quarrel was only with Henry's evil conciliars. In 1460, Edward crossed the English Channel with Warwick and Salisbury and marched into London. At Northampton in July, he commanded one of 3 divisions in a Yorkist victory that led to the capture of Henry VI. York crossed from Ireland to England. On entering the Palace of Westminster, he declared himself king, a claim greeted by the assembled lords in silence. The Act of Accord agreed a compromise whereby Henry remained king, but York and his descendants were designed his successors. The implications of removing the legally accepted heir to the throne created substantial opposition to the Yorkist administration in late 1460. Edward was given the first independent command and sent to deal with a Lancastrian insurgery in Wales. Warwick remained in London, while York, Salisbury, and Edmund marched north to suppress another in Yorkshire. All 3 were killed following defeat at Wakefield on the 30th of December, leaving Edward as the new head of the Yorkist party. That is so sad. I feel bad for his father. And then we have the reign of him, but technically so, we already know that he was 18 when he became king. How did he die, however? He died, basically, how did Edward die? Well, when he died at 40, he died of some point, it's a mysterious death. So, technically so, he could have died of an unknown illness. But I'm gonna rate Edward the Fourth possibly a 7 out of 10, because my favorite part is when he became the king at 18 and he captured Henry, but then he was off the throne for 6 months, and then Henry the Sixth came back. He reigned for a year, but then he was killed in the Tower of London by possibly Edward the Fourth's orders, and then he became king for the next 12 years until 1483. So his first reign was from 1461 to 1470 for 9 years, and his second reign, 1471 to 1483, lasted for 12 years. So altogether, that was 21 years. So technically, the first reign was 9 years, and the second reign was 12 years. So altogether, that would make it 21 from 1461 to 1483. That makes it 21 years. Or you could just break it down. I hope you guys did actually enjoy this video. I know it's actually really cool seeing me doing more history content. After when part 8 comes out, part 9 will be coming out soon. And yeah, I still have 12 more to do. I'm really behind on these. If I don't get them done, I don't know who I'm going to do for part 20, because there's 20 of these altogether, so I have to do them separately. So please make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already.